Karoline Leavitt. Karoline, always good to see you, and you are now the Trump transition spokesperson. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Let's put up on the wall the administration names as they have taken shape so far, and a lot of support for many of these picks. I guess it's fair to say that Matt Gaetz is the most controversial pick so far as Attorney General designate by President Trump, and he has now left his post in Congress. This is Kevin McCarthy, who was asked about this, a former Speaker of the House on Bloomberg. Let's watch this.
Gaetz won't get confirmed. Everybody knows that. It's a good deflection from others, but it also gives, I'll let it stand with that.
Karoline, what do you say to that? Does the president believe that Gaetz will get confirmed? And you hear Kevin McCarthy say that that won't happen, and everybody knows that. What do you say to that?
We do believe that. 9 days ago, President Trump received a resounding mandate from the American people, a once-in-a-generation mandate for change. Throughout this entire campaign, the American people made it clear they were sick and tired of the status quo from the Harris-Biden administration. They wanted a new direction for this country, and they chose President Trump to put America first. He has rolled out 16 fantastic picks over the past 9 days, and Matt Gaetz is one of those picks. I know Matt personally. He is a great person. He's a man of integrity. He also is a brilliant litigator. He served on the House Judiciary Committee for 8 years. Anyone who has watched him in those hearings knows that he's incredibly impressive. And like President Trump, Matt Gaetz has been a victim of the weaponized Department of Justice. And one of the promises President Trump made to the American people was to root out the corruption at the DOJ. We have seen this agency turn against the American people because of their political beliefs. Matt Gaetz and President Trump are going to put an end to that, and that's what the American people want. That's why they elected him.
So what do you say to those? It's been raised in a number of articles today, the Wall Street Journal, other places, that he was motivated to leave, to resign his spot in Congress because there was an ethics report that was going to come out as soon as tomorrow, digging into some of these questions around behavior that could really break some of these ethics regulations.
Congressman Matt Gaetz resigned his position from Congress because President Trump appointed him to be the Attorney General of the United States. It's a well-deserved position. Matt Gaetz is more than qualified for it. And again, the Biden Department of Justice investigated Matt Gaetz for years, and they cleared him of any wrongdoing. He and President Trump have both been victims of this weaponized DOJ. We've also seen the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, who's been a disaster as Attorney General, a political person, not someone who actually cares about law and order, turn against parents at school board meetings, against Catholic Americans at church, having FBI informants infiltrate mass. These are unacceptable actions that have been taken over the past 4 years, and that's why President Trump appointed someone like Matt Gaetz, who believes in the rule of law and who will make a fantastic Attorney General for all Americans. I would also add, in Congress, Congressman Matt Gaetz has shown that he has a willingness and an ability to work across the aisle. He's worked with Democrats like Ro Khanna and AOC on legislation, and he'll do that in this position as well.
Okay, let's move on to some of the others. HHS is one of the unfilled jobs. There was a lot of discussion about whether or not Bobby Kennedy Jr. might be considered for that spot. Is he still in the running, and does the president want to find a prominent place for him?
Certainly, President Trump wants to find a place for RFK Jr. He has made that very clear throughout the campaign. RFK Jr. is a once-in-a-generation thought leader. He's an independent mind, a critical thinker. We definitely need more of that in Washington, D.C. As for his specific position, I'll let President Trump announce that. But RFK Jr. will focus in the Trump administration on making America healthy again. That's another promise that President Trump made on the campaign trail. And with an appointment of RFK Jr. to whatever position President Trump decides, that promise will be delivered upon.
Okay, in terms of press secretary, obviously it's a prominent position. It's someone who interfaces almost on a daily basis with reporters. Is that something that you hope to do in the next White House?
Well, look, I have been honored to serve as the spokesperson for President Trump's campaign over the past year. It's been a great pleasure to have a front row seat to the greatest political comeback in history. Ultimately, these are decisions that President Trump has to make. I will let him make it, and I will respect whatever decision he does.
Well, it's clear that he thinks very highly of you, and we will see what happens. We know Alina Habba took her name out of the running for that position. There are a couple names getting tossed around, but as I said earlier, sometimes these lists don't mean anything because sometimes we get some surprises. So we'll see. Do you expect that we're going to hear some more appointments this afternoon?
I do, yes. I think the American people should stay tuned every day. President Trump is making up his mind on all of these amazing picks, from Tom Homan to Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, Governor Mike Huckabee, Kristi Noem. The list goes on and on. The American people are going to be well served by a Trump administration 2.0.
Karoline Leavitt, transition spokesperson for the Trump team and the Trump White House. Karoline, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.